Yes, German pronunciation feels intimidating, especially when you're new to the language. You might look at words like Geschwindigkeit or Frühstück and think, there's no way I'm ever gonna sound like a native. But here's the good news. German pronunciation is much easier than you think. And once you learn how the letters and sounds work, you can almost always look at a word and know exactly how it's pronounced. So in the next 15 minutes, I'm gonna give you a complete pronunciation crash course and teach you the most important aspects. Yes, at the end of the video, you're going to be enlightened and it will all make sense. Let's go. Now let's start with something very important. You cannot read German the way you would read English and expect to sound native. German is spelled in a way that's more consistent than English, but certain letters and combinations will completely surprise you if you go by the English logic. So we need to kind of rewire our sound system here. And this part is really important, so please pay attention. So first, let's talk about the letter V in German. This is almost always pronounced like an F. So this word right here is not der Vater, it's der Vater. Das Volk, not das Volk. You pronounce it like an F. Try it with me. Vater, Volk, vielleicht. Vater, Volk, vielleicht. Let's say each one slowly, then at normal speed. Very nice. Vater, Volk, vielleicht. It's not like a V, it's like an F. Now here's also a quick tip so that you don't get confused later. A few words keep the English style V sound because they come from other languages. You can think of words like video, Vulkan or Vanille. In this case we have the V sound and not the F sound. Next is the letter W, and here's the flip. In German, W is pronounced like an English V. So here we have the word das Wasser, das Wasser. And we also have the word der Wein, der Wein. Please repeat after me. Wasser, Wein, Welt, wunderbar. Wasser, Wein, Welt, wunderbar. We don't say Wasser, we don't say wine, we don't say Welt, we say Wasser, like the English V, alright? And then there is also the infamous CH. And this one is quite tricky if you're not used to the language. Now here's the rule. In case you have vowels like I or E, CH is soft. It's like a hiss. So let me give you concrete examples. Ich. Or one more word is Licht, Licht. So you can imagine it's like the sound you make when you're telling someone to be quiet, but with a smile. Ich, and Licht, Licht. Now, when you have other vowels like A, O, U, CH is a little bit deeper in the throat. For example, das Buch, das Buch. Can you hear the CH sound? Das Buch. Or machen, machen. Buch, machen. So let's train both. Let's say ich Buch. Ich Buch. Ich Buch. Back and forth. You should feel the change in your mouth. Ich Buch. You're doing fantastic. Now, one more important detail for beginners is how we pronounce the letter S in German. At the beginning of a word, when it comes before a vowel, it usually sounds like the English Z. For example, we have this word right here with an S, die Sonne, die Sonne. So you can see the S is pronounced like a Z. And one more word, sieben, sieben. Okay, it's a Z. But when you have a word when there is an S in the middle or at the end of the word, the S stays sharp. For example, das Haus. Das Haus. It's a normal S. Or reisen. Reisen. Now let's look at one more special case when a word starts with SP or ST, which is quite common in German. The pronunciation shifts to SHP and SHT. So you can imagine the H in the middle, okay? So these words right here, das Spiel, das Spiel, okay? It's SP, but it's SHP. It's not das Spiel, it's das Spiel. Das Spiel. Or one more example, die Stadt. Die Stadt. It's not die Stadt, it's die Stadt. Stadt. So you can imagine an SH here. Okay, so after we kind of rewired our sound system a bit, let's start with vowels. You know, in German, the length of a vowel is not just about how long you hold the sound. It can actually change the meaning of a word. So take the word bitte, which means please. Bitte. Now you can compare it with biete. Biete, which means I offer. So the only difference here is that the vowel in biete is long. Bitte, biete. Can you hear a difference? Bitte, biete. One more example is die Stadt. Die Stadt, which means city. Versus der Staat. Der Staat, which means state. You can see that length alone can be the difference between two completely unrelated meanings. Die Stadt, der Staat. Okay, so a good rule of thumb is when you see a single vowel followed by two consonants, it's usually short, like bitte or Mutter. Okay, so in case we have the double T, we have U and a double T. So the U is short because of the double T. And this way you know it's short. Bitte Mutter. Okay? But when the vowel is followed by just one consonant, a double vowel or an H, it's usually long. Let's take the word sehen. Sehen. So in this case we have the vowel E, okay, the second character. And after that we have an H, so the vowel is long. Sehen. One more example, fahren. Fahren. The A is also long here. And one final example, das Boot. Das Boot. Okay, the boat. We have a double O, so the vowel is long here. Das Boot. Now, beginners often make the mistake of pronouncing all vowels short, because in English, vowel length doesn't usually change meaning. But in German, it does. And once you start paying attention to it, your speech will sound much more precise. Next, let's talk about these mysterious dots over some vowels. And they're called Umlaute. And no, they're not optional. These dots change the sound of the vowel completely. So this right here is You can think of the E in bad, but open your mouth a little more. If you put two dots on top of O, you get Imagine the UH sound in fur. Fur, okay? And for Ü, you can start with the double E sound in C, okay? And again, round your lips. So we don't say C, we say Sü. Okay, Sü. Ü. So let me give you a word for each umlaut. So for we have a word der Käse. Der Käse. Here we have a strong And for Ö, we have Öl. Öl, right at the front of the sentence. Öl. Okay, we round our lips here. And for Ü, we have Übung. Übung, the practice. Die Übung. Okay, I hope this is clear. Now these changes might feel awkward at first because English doesn't really have these sounds, but they're worth practicing. If you ignore them, it will not only make your accent heavier, but it will also change the meaning of your words. For example, schon means already in German, but schön means beautiful. Okay, schon and schön. These are two different words. And that's why I tell all my students, also in my courses, don't skip them. Ö, Ü. Okay, awesome. Now talking about special characters in German, let's cover one more. And this fancy looking letter right here, this is called SZ or scharfes S. And you always pronounce it like a sharp English S. You're gonna see it in words like die Straße, die Straße, the street, Straße, or heißen, heißen, to be called. Can you hear the sharp S here? Straße, heißen. Okay, if you remember this simple rule, you get the pronunciation right every single time. Nice, we covered all the special characters in German. Ä, Ö, Ü, and the sharp S. By the way, if you're enjoying this crash course so far and you want to learn German properly, I have complete German courses for the different levels of the language. Over 3,000 students have already joined, and many of them have passed their German exams and study or work in Germany. So check them out, I put the links to them in the video description. Let's continue with the pronunciation training. Now, one sound that gives a lot of learners trouble is the German R, okay? For example, in Ruhe, Ruhe, or Raum, Raum. It's very different from the English R. In standard German, you make the R at the back of the throat. And at the start of a word, you usually pronounce it a bit more. For example, rot or reden, rot, reden. But at the end of a syllable, you can soften or even vocalize it into something closer to a short UH, for example, like in aber, aber. You don't hear the R here too much. Or besser, besser. Not besser, but besser. Now here in Bavaria, where I live, we tend to roll the R. I'm sure you've heard of this one. Rot becomes rot. Rucksack becomes Rucksack. But not every German person does that, and you don't have to do that either. If you cannot roll the R yet, don't force it. And over time, as your mouth gets used to German, you can refine it, okay? So first, repeat after me. Reise, Rose, Regen, richtig. Reise, Rose, Regen, richtig. Awesome. Now in German, we also have one more sound that can feel unusual for beginners, the PF sound. It's a consonant cluster that doesn't really exist in English in the same way. You can find it in words like Pferd, Pferd, horse, Apfel, Apfel, apple, and Pflicht, Pflicht, duty. And the trick is that you pronounce both letters, and you start with a quick P burst and then instantly follow it with an F sound. You know, almost as if you're saying the two letters at the same time. Pf, pf, you know, Pferd. And many students tend to leave out the P entirely and just say Pferd instead of Pferd. Pf, pf. It should feel like one smooth motion instead of two separate sounds. So please repeat after me. Topf, Topf, Pfeffer, Pfeffer, Pfand, Knopf. Well done. One more time. Topf, Pfeffer, Pfand, Knopf. Okay, now to put this all together, let's look at a practice sentence. Okay, this one's gonna be a bit longer, but bear with me. Ich möchte später in der schönen Stadt Regensburg wohnen. And this sentence has almost everything we've discussed. It has umlauts in möchte and schönen, both CH sounds in ich and möchte, a short vowel in Stadt, the German R in Regensburg, and consistent first syllable stress. So if you can say the sentence naturally, you're already ahead of most beginners. So please say it slowly. Ich möchte später in der schönen Stadt Regensburg wohnen. Okay, one more time. Ich möchte später in der schönen Stadt Regensburg wohnen. And well, if you're serious about learning German, I have very affordable German courses for all the different levels. And as a bonus, I also put a complete pronunciation masterclass into the A1 course to get you started. Make sure to check the courses out. And for your convenience, I put the link to them in the video description. Love you and stay focused.